The 22nd of July 2021 has just passed, and that was a special day because EA Play Live 2021 came and gone, and many people were really excited to see what EA was going to show. Many were speculating a trailer for the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, or maybe we'll get some news on their Battlefront 2 spin-off that has been secretly in development for a couple of months now. But unfortunately, a week before the event, we were hit with the bad news that there was not going to be any Star Wars games at the event. And whilst we've taken that bad news with a heavy heart, knowing we won't hear anything about EA Star Wars games until next year, we did actually get some extra news during the event, which for anybody hoping for a Star Wars Squadrons 2 might be a little bit disappointed to hear. So without further ado, let's get into why that's the case in today's video. So with EA Play Live 2021 finally finished, they announced a handful of actually pretty interesting games. Grid Legends was one of the first things they announced, which is an interesting driver simulated live action story mode. Many are a little bit hesitant on how good the game will be, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, which was my personal favourite, was Lost in Random, a gothic fairy tale inspired action adventure 3D platformer, akin to the old Alice Madness Returns back in 2011, along with new seasons to Knockout City and Apex Legends, as well as the first official look to Battlefield Portal, which is a game mode that lets you mash up parts of Battlefield 1942, Battlefield Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 in custom maps. So overall, some kind of interesting stuff here and there. However, their biggest announcement was probably Dead Space Remake. This is a from the ground up rebuild of the original Dead Space that came out in 2008. And this is where the bad news kicks in. So what does Dead Space have to do anything with Star Wars Squadrons, you might ask? Well, it seems like the project that EA Motive Studios moved on to right after Star Wars Squadrons was this project right here. Now, there were rumors dating all the way back in December 2020 that they were working on a new project. Many outlets believing that it was going to be a Star Wars game. That was quickly debunked by EA Motive Studios, and now we can finally see what they've been working on. So for anybody that was really excited over the possibility of Star Wars Squadrons 2, you're going to be waiting a fair amount longer. And the reason I say a fair amount longer is that despite we got the trailer, there was no gameplay to be shown with it, nor any release window, which highly suggests that this game is very early in development, which probably means we won't see this game released for another 2 years. So for Star Wars Squadrons fans hoping we would get another game in as early as 2023, which is quite reasonable by the way, because EA released Star Wars Battlefront 2 just a couple of years after the first one. But this time around, it's definitely not going to be that short. Other important things to take away from this trailer and from EA Motive is that 1, this game is going to be built in Frostbite engine that is exclusive to EA only, and 2, this is a next-gen only game, meaning it's just for PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. So what we can take away from that is EA Motive is still pushing hard on the Frostbite engine, something that I think they're very used to now thanks to Battlefront 2 story mode and Star Wars Squadrons, but also showing that the Frostbite engine is next gen ready, finally. So if we do ever see a Star Wars Squadrons 2, it is very likely not going to support the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. Seems reasonable enough, but remember we've got games coming out all the way until 2023 that is still going to support previous generations of consoles. So if you're a console player and you're eagerly waiting the next flight simulated Star Wars game from EA, I highly recommend you pick up a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Besides this though, I don't know if there's any other games EA Motive is working on. They went back to their original Geiger prototype after Star Wars Squadrons, but EA swiftly cancelled that game just after their official Star Wars release. And my assumptions are that they were quickly put on the Dead Space project. It's quite hard to figure out the timeline on what this development studio is working on, but if I was to have an educated guess after studying everything they worked on, development times of previous games, how long they worked on Geiger until they were moved on to Dead Space, I would say the possibility of a Star Wars Squadrons 2 won't be until anywhere between 2024 all the way to 2026. Meaning we might have to wait another 3 to 5 years until we can see a sequel that is either a full live service game or a game that fully focuses on the single player game mode. We've covered a lot of Star Wars Squadrons on this channel, and we've mentioned time and time again that that game had so much untapped potential. We're just begging that EA caught wind of that and is pushing the sequel through pre-production. We really hope. But honestly, we won't hear any rumors or leaks until another 2 years after this video. So whilst this does sound like really bad news, Dead Space is a really good series of games. And if you haven't tried them out yet, I highly recommend starting with the first one. And when this remake drops, definitely give it a go and pick it up. If we can support EA Motive as much as we can, the possibility of a Star Wars Squadrons 2 is very reasonable. Personally, I would just love a bit of communication from EA, because it is something EA has done in the past. All the way back in 2016, they made a huge article about what is coming out in the next year, next couple of years, and in the far distant future. And whilst yes, some of these games in this newsletter were cancelled, like Star Wars 1313, they were brave enough to briefly mention Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 3 years before the game released. We would absolutely love a bit of communication like that today. Of course, I understand things like the pandemic slows things down, which means EA and many other game companies probably don't have as much to show, thanks to everyone having to work from home and slowing down development. But come on EA, give us a little bit of something. Don't make us wait a whole year for Star Wars gaming news, while Star Wars is currently about to reach its peak. Either way, I digress. That's where I'm going to leave today's video. Sorry that a lot of these videos have to be a bit negative. It's not really something I want to do. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this news. Do you think EA Motive is still working on the sequel to Star Wars Squadrons on the side whilst they work on Dead Space? Or do you think it will be another 3 to 5 years until we hear anything about a sequel? Or do you think there'll be no sequel at all? Let me know your reasonings in the comments down below. I read all of them and I'll try to get back to some of you as well. But besides that guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care guys.